Greetings, greetings, greetings. You are now tuned into the vault. Trust Christian own, not to control everything. Just want to thank you for tuning in live, listening to replay. Always appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listens in the replay. This is the vault, episode 754. When in Rome, do as Romans do. That's where we are, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listening to replay. It's going to be one of those episodes that it's definitely not a consultation, but it comes from experience with consultations. Some people may look at this line, they may say it's cliche, they may say, oh, I googled that, or oh, I've heard that before, oh, I've never heard that before. Ladies and gentlemen, if you in the United States, it's Rome. The language is based off of Latin, which is Indo-European. It's English. And when you're in Rome, you gotta do as Romans do. What does this mean? Do you know the language you're speaking? You think you're speaking English, but you don't even know there's a term or a language in the culture or the sect of itself, the family of it, called legalese. Are you familiar with legalese? Are you familiar with these legalese terms? These are terms that you use on a daily basis. Oh, I have a legal person. What's on my legal person? What's your legal name? Right. They're not asking you what your spiritual name is. They're not asking you what your human name is. They're asking you for your legal name. Because it's Rome. And when you're in Rome, you got to do what the Romans do. Now, this may come to a shocker to people's ego. Oh, Trust Christian, you know, you don't know, man. I'm trying to play the game fair. Okay. It's not about playing the game fair. If you're going off of your own understanding and you don't know legalese, then we already know what's going to happen to those individuals. Why? Because they don't understand the language. They don't understand the environment that they're in. They're operating in it, but they don't understand it. There's a difference. They think they have an idea of how it works because they're working within it. But working on it means you know legalese. Because you know the language. Because you're not going to let people tell you things and put you in contracts. And when they do, you know how to get out of the contracts at all times. You know how to reserve your rights at all times. You know how to sign with a restricted signature at all times. Okay. So we're going to continue talking about this today. When you're in Rome, do as Romans do. Well, how does that look? You got to dress the part. That's just the bottom line. Some of the people will say, oh, Judge Christian, I'm not going to dress the part. Well, ladies and gentlemen, when you're in Rome, you do as the Romans do. Most people don't know they're in Rome. So you can't, it's not an opportunity to look at it and say, well, how come other people, how come everybody's not doing it? Because they don't know they're in Rome. The money has it on it. What is that? Political buildings have it on it. They have Latin. They have Indo-European language. Latin. So, why is it there? Because it's Rome's coinage. They had a republic. It's the same thing with the United States. It's a republic. So when we talk about, oh, Trust Christian, I just want to know, if we in Rome, you saying I gotta dress like a Roman? Ladies and gentlemen, some people would say, oh, you don't want to blend in. Yeah, but if you don't blend in, you stand out. And that is a non-Machiavellian, non-Roman type of thought process. Why? Because in Rome, they believed in uniformity. Oh, yeah? Yeah. So it's the same principles here. You can tell a Roman from a non-Roman, or somebody that's acting as if they are a Roman and they are not a Roman. But you can see that they have pulled it off. Some people might not know what we're talking about right now. This is for the man who has the ears or the woman that has the ears to hear. This isn't for everybody. If that's the case, why would it be? You sitting here making it sound like you don't know that we're in Rome. You don't want to make it. You don't want to seem like, oh man, trust Christian. Don't say it to me like that. I don't want to be involved in this whole stuff. You talking about some schemy, scammy. What is that? Roman stuff. I'm in the United States. I'm in America. I'm in the modern day. Okay, but somehow the money that you're utilizing the fiat, it has Roman language on it, which means it's Roman. Have you seen money from other cultures? Do they have other languages on it? No. The only language that's universal is numbers. So why would you put another culture's language on it? Because it's showing you the lineage of the money. It's Roman in nature. The fiat is Roman in nature. Just like the gold and silver. It's not coins that make it Roman, but it's Roman in nature to what? Coin gold and silver and utilize it as a medium of exchange or a store of value. Modern day Rome. That's the reality. Are you okay with that? Are you okay with, not saying that, oh man, you gotta be okay with living in Rome, but that's the reality. Okay. So you gotta dress the part. Then you gotta talk the part. How you gonna talk the part and you don't know the language that you're speaking? You think you speaking English, but you're really speaking legalese. If we just told you you were speaking legalese and you just relearned English as legalese, anybody that knows legalese can operate within a society actually with minimal stress or worry. Why? Because they understand everything they're doing is a contract. It's implied or it's expressed. It's either written on paper or it's not. These are things that you understand. So now you see how the country can operate in a bankruptcy. Now you see how the country can file bankrupt. See how you can operate in a bankruptcy. You can see that because you understand not bookkeeping. You understand contracts, which contracts deal with bookkeeping. How the bookkeeping is done. But people, who wants to hear that they're living in Rome? Who wants to hear that they gotta learn legalese? Legalese, is this a real thing? Trust Christian? It's actually easier than in a foreign language. Because if you know English, all you're doing is learning the the all right. The language of the elite is the law. Some people could say, "Oh, but it's not all law. Some of it's code and statutes." We're talking about what you know as maritime law, common law, admiralty law. That's the law we're talking about. The elite know that. So if you don't know the law, you're considered to be a peasant. Or it's like almost like you don't know how to read. Why? Because you do know how to read and you still haven't read the law. That's like saying, do you know the difference between a code, a statute, and a law? Do you know the difference? And if a person doesn't, then people would encourage them to go read a book and things of that nature. Elite don't want you to read a book. They don't care. Elite don't care. Elite are gonna read. Elite are gonna learn. See, if you take offense to the word elite, then we already know where your mindset is at. That might be hard for people to hear. Oh man, George Christian, don't say it like that. I do what? I do why do I gotta be called an elite? Because it's more of a performance mindset. It's more of a thought process. It's about the fact that you want the best for yourself. You want excellence for yourself. It's not about, oh, you're trying to be better than anyone else. Elite, no, you're not really better than anybody. It's not a better or worse or any of that. It's understanding the laws of the universe, let alone the laws of man. See, people want to sit here and say, oh, there's laws, but do you know there's laws of the universe and laws of man? They're two different laws, right? Right. Okay, so let's talk about there are laws that man has created. Correct. And are you aware there are laws? And then are you aware that there are codes and statutes? Once again, codes and statutes. Those are different. It's a different word. And because if an individual doesn't recognize those words as different, they don't understand legalese. Oh, synonyms and antonyms. That's very true. But even still, in the legal definition, it might not still be the same, which is interesting in and of itself. That's why it's rather important to get a legal dictionary. We do our best to share these things with trustees, go over these things with trustees, and really take care of them. But at the end of the day, that's an individual to sit there and say, okay, I'm gonna take the time to go do what we're talking about here. Think about it, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody knows everything except for what? Legalese. Do you know legalese? Do you know legalese? Have you studied legalese? Some of us know Latin. Some people say, all right, I know. Why would you know that? Out of all languages, a dead language. You ain't learned other languages yet. Okay, but at the same time, the largest language in the world right now, one of them is English. So it comes from a Latin root. What are we talking about here? Indo-European root. Why not? It's the law system that they telling you they administering. Because they got various different forms of law. They got canon law instituted in the United States. Y'all think they don't use canon law? You may not even know what canon law is. It's Roman law. Because you're in Rome. And if you're in Rome, you got to do what the Romans do. And the sooner, we're going to go ahead and break this down for the African indigenous descent people that listen to the podcast. And they say, oh, Trust Christian, where we going with this? Where we going with it is, it's you in Rome, brother and sister. And just like, oh man, what would you say to your younger self, Trust Christian? We're going to go ahead and tell you. It's this a pill. Because if you don't swallow it, all you're doing is going to stay in the matrix. All you're going to do is run on a rat race. Well, whatever it is, you're not gonna, how are you going to accomplish what you need to accomplish? And you don't even know the rules. You don't even know the laws. If you're in Rome, you got to do what the Romans do, brother and sister. Some people may say, oh, Trust Christian, you don't know I'm a master of my universe. That's the only thing they can say to us. They got that level of confidence. And if that's the case, we could tell what their dream level is. Why? Because of the fruit on the tree. The way they speak about it. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So let's talk about it. If we're going to sit here and say, oh, Trust Christian, I'm in Rome, I'm supposed to dress like the Romans? Yes. Every time an African indigenous descent person has been successful in Rome or in a Roman territory, they have adopted the Roman ways. Now, once again, this episode is for he who has or she who has ears, let her hear. Which means there's a parable in here. Why? Because when they finally go do the research, the cultures of African indigenous descent people across the diaspora, that actually the ones that are truly the ones that can make it in the system, have net worth, they don't get bothered, or if they do get bothered, they know how to stand their ground. They do as Romans do. Did you do as Romans do? Did you do as Romans do? Okay. Trust Christian, you saying I got just like the Romans do? Yep. I gotta talk like the Romans do. First of all, when you're in Rome, when you're in court, you speak legalese, right? Right. When you're in the public, do you speak legalese? Most people would not say that they speak legalese. They would say that they speak colloquially. They would say, I speak colloquial, or I speak regular, I speak layman. They wouldn't say that they speak sophisticated. They would just say, I have regular conversations.
Right. They would not say, I speak in legalese. They would not say they speak in legalese. Most average individuals are not going to say they're speaking in legalese. And for that reason, they're going to get wiped out. The question is are you going to study legalese and not get wiped out? Now, you could sit here and say, oh, well, everybody gets wiped out. Not everybody gets wiped out. That's why generational wealth is able to be passed on, because there's a language that people are speaking behind closed doors and in front of you. And it allows them to maintain a system of power or wealth. It's a system now. It's not just, oh, I have, well, it's no, I have a system that it doesn't matter what anyone does, it's going to work because I built the system correctly. This is where we are, ladies and gentlemen. The question is, are you going to learn legalese? Do you know legalese? Do you speak legalese? Are you aware of legalese? People will reach out to the vault. Oh man, Trust Christian, I don't know the language. I gotta learn the language. You're right, you do. Learn the language. There's no excuse. There's no, oh man, Trust Christian, I don't this, I don't that. Nah, the legalese is definitely the first thing you definitely want to tackle for sure, because you're operating in a society that you're dealing in the environment that you say that you don't speak, which is legalese. It's just formalizing that education is truly formalizing it, modernizing it. What specifically are you saying out of your mouth specifically? We're talking to a trustee about that the other day. It's like you actually have to like talk about, you have to be able to clearly talk about your points and get to those points, and you have to be specific when you're talking to certain people, because everybody doesn't know, and you can't assume everybody knows what you're talking about. So even on the podcast, we know we break it down, but that's what we got to do. We got to break it down. So we appreciate everybody tuning in live, listen, replay. Always appreciate everybody tunes in live, listen, replay. Feel free to reach out, Christian at trustchristian.com. Once again, that's Christian at trustchristian.com. Peace.